Hi, Stu from Taunton Leisure here. We're up on Dartmoor and it is cold, really cold. And I'm going to show you a new tent from Vango F10, the Raidon 2 Ultra Light. So let's get it pitched, shall we? We'll talk about some of its features. The Raidon 2 is Vango's kind of hub pole tent. So it's made with a super lightweight ripstop nylon, silicone coat on the outside, PU coat on the inside. It pitches separately, so you put the inner up first and you chuck the fly over it. It takes its kind of design cues from some of the North American brands. It will look similar to a Hubba Hubba tent from MSR. And this is Vango's version of it. So let's get it pitched. It comes in at 1.8 kilos, so it's pretty lightweight to carry for two people. We've got a nice sheltered area here. The conditions we're in, it's pretty windy, so we found a sheltered area here behind this tor. We're at the limits of where this tent's designed for. It's definitely a kind of 2+ season tent, airing on the side of 2 season, to be honest. We'll get these pegs and we'll pop them in my pocket. So you get a aluminium V peg with this one. Get the poles, we'll put the poles together first. Let's just pop the inner to one side, keep that out of the way. Ideally I'd have the poles packed separately from the tent, but this time they're rolled away inside. So we'll put this hub up first. The reason I put the pole together first is if the pole's up and it was bad weather, it doesn't matter if the pole gets wet, but we want to keep the inner dry for as long as possible. So we'll just put that to one side. Then we'll peg this out. Hopefully I've got enough space here. It's got a reasonably compact footprint. The inner is colour coded, and there is a head and a foot end. We want the head end to be towards the top of this slope. It does slightly run off this area, and we want our feet to be pointing down the hill. So the end, which has got 2 pole bits, and they're colour coded blue to match the pole, we want at the top here. So we're going to peg that out. Then we get the pole in place. So there's plastic feet that the poles clip into. Clip the inner to the poles to give you all that room inside. Now we'll come back and get the fly sheet and we'll chuck that over. And make sure we get the right way around. And they have colour coded 2 tabs so you know which end goes where. And it hooks over the same place, the plastic foot where you put the pole. There is a clip which goes into place, which is nice and easy. He says, you watch now as I struggle to get the rest of the tent together. Inside there's an eyelet which you want to pop over the centre pole, so we'll do that on both sides. Helps to keep it in place. And there's also Velcro, which you Velcro over the pole sections. Might be able to show you easier on this one. So this part here, it's best to do the Velcro now as you're kind of halfway putting the fly sheet on than when you've got it all tensioned into place, because it's going to be much more difficult then. So this is going to, when we've got the tent pitched, stop the fly sheet slipping off the poles. So there's another bit of Velcro on this foot end. We'll do that bit too. Nice big chunky bits of Velcro here. I mean, I'll be able to do all this with gloves on. No clip here, that just goes over the... Oh no, that's going to peg out separately. Clip on this bit. And then on the back here, so this, if we're pitching it in a more exposed area, this is the end you want into the wind. You've got the guy lines on it. You've got the most pole structure for stability. So it's really stable here. And this is where your high up vent is. So to reduce condensation, there's a large vent here, which is, you can Velcro down in bad weather to keep it out, keep the wind out. And then they give you a stick basically to push it out. So you can get a lot of airflow going in through the tent. So there we have it, the Vango F10 series Raidon 2 tent. We'll have a little look through it now. Okay, so here's the Raidon 2. We'll show you through the doors on it. We've got a two-way zipper and Velcro storm flap. Again, a good reason for pitching it. The orientation of the wind blowing this way is the wind's going to blow over the storm flap. Not if the wind was blowing this direction, it's going to blow into that storm flap, which is not ideal. You've got a two-way zip, so you can vent it from the top down as well if you want to. And there is another one of these poles inside, which you can split the zip open, so you can increase the venting on the tent without letting too much moisture come in. So as I said earlier on, the fabric on this is a silicone coated nylon, so it's silicone coated on the outside, that's why it's quite slippy, and then the inside is PU coated, which means they can tape the seams. So it's a good mix of high quality silicone fabric. Silicone increases the tear strength, overall tear strength of the fabric, and makes it much more resistant to UV damage. And then PU on the inside allows those seams to be taped. If they were to silicone coat both sides, you wouldn't be able to tape the inside. The tear strength would be increased, but the price would go up a lot. A double siliconized tent is a lot more expensive than this. So they're out there. We stock some double siliconized tents, but the price is much more than what this is aimed at. A nice little feature you get on these F10 tents is this label here from Vango. Designed and tested in Scotland. For those of you that have been camping in Scotland, it can be pretty rough. So you know it's probably been... it's a good testing ground, in my opinion, Scotland. The inner of this tent, we can roll back both these doors. So we'll do that. So you can get a good look at it. So, bathtub ground sheet with a 6,000mm hydraulic head. This is a polyester fabric with, again, tape seams, so plenty waterproof enough for the UK conditions. Large door, and then this is all mesh on kind of from here upwards is a mesh inner, which is going to really increase breathability and make the tent a bit cooler to be in. Great for summer trips. Not so great for kind of winter trips. It'd be a bit cold. It's nice to see a door that opens completely. So there's loads of... It's really easy to get in and out of, is what I'm trying to get at. Plenty of head height. See if we can hide that out of the way. So plenty of head height. The roof of this is solid fabric. It's not mesh, the top. So that means any condensation that does form on the roof of the inner and it drips inside is not going to drip onto your head while you're sleeping. It's going to roll down the outside of the tent. Quite a lot of storage pockets inside this tent. And then you've also got something called TBX. It's the latest version of their tension band system. And you can see this hanging behind me here. And there's someone, we'll get some close-ups of them on the inside here. They're crossing guy lines essentially at this end, which increase the stability by having a guy line that creates a triangle shape in each corner. And there's one here as well, which runs down from the top of the tent down to the pegging point in the bottom here, which when done up is going to make the tent way more stable. So if we have it loosened off, I'll try and show you, that moves around a fair amount. And if we pull that tight, it barely moves now, front to back. And it's got the same system on the inside here, which we'll show you in a second. If you don't want those in place, they do unclip fairly easily. I would suggest only using them in really bad weather. They shouldn't be used all the time. They can get in the way, but they do unclip, and then you can get rid of those. There's plenty of space in here for 2 people. Loads of head height. I can sit up in it. I can sit up in it towards the back end here as well. My feet are nowhere near the end. My feet are nowhere near the inner on this. Even with if I had a thicker sleeping bag, it'd be fine. So lots of room, and that's part of this hub pole system and the fact it pitches inner first. If you have a tent which pitches inner first like this, you generally get a lot more space inside of it than one that pitches as one. Also, if it was fine conditions, you could pitch this without the fly sheet at all. Use it as a bug net. So if you've been to Scotland in June and you get one of those real nice evenings, but you're surrounded by midges, then you could be inside this with the doors closed, and it'd be a slightly more pleasant place to be. It's worth mentioning as well on this tent, the fly sheet comes relatively low to the ground all the way around. On the head end you can adjust the height, you can pull it lower or higher. So compared to some other 2-season tents, this gives you pretty good rain protection, especially from wind-blown rain blowing up into the inner. From the underside blowing upwards, this is pretty good. When you look at some of the kind of North American brands, there's often a very big gap, which is great for airflow, but not great in bad weather. It's a symmetrical tent, so you've got a porch on either side, which is a great place. You can have one to store your gear in, one to get in and out of, or you can each have your own porch. It also means in inclement weather, if the wind's changing, you've always got a porch you can exit out of the wind. And the fact you've got all those multiple door options, or each side has 2 doors, you can roll back either one. Again, means that exiting in bad weather is easier to do. Sorry, it's cold up here. I can't even talk anymore. Another nice thing about the doors is, as we saw, you can roll both sides up. So on a nice evening, you can roll both those doors up and enjoy your view. So that's the Vango F10 Radon 2 tent. If you've got any questions about it you'd like to ask, have a look down in the comments below. Thanks for watching.